It's the Ram 4x4 Winter Event.
How about a more dramatic name? Like the Ram Winter Doesn't Stand a Chance event.
With big discounts on Ram trucks.
So, that's a no.
Get 20% off MSRP with up to $12,950 in total discounts.
Wow, discounts that big doesn't matter what you call it.
Plus $3,000 in loyalty cash for select owners.
Okay, now you're just showing off.
See your Ram dealer for details.
Hey everyone, before we get started, I want to tell you about Blue Wire Hustle, a brand new program where you can host your very own podcast here at Blue Wire. Hustle was created to give everyone the opportunity to take your podcast to the next level. Or, if you want to host a podcast and just don't know where to start, Hustle is the perfect place for you. As part of the program, you'll receive personal cover art, Q&As with Blue Wire's top podcasters, access to our community Discord, and an e-learning course full of tips and tricks. And on top of that, we'll help you get your own show pushed out to Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and all other listening platforms. And the best part is, you can get all of this for only $15 a month, the same rate as any other hosting site would charge you just for the initial setup. So whether you're starting from scratch or have an existing show that you want to grow, Hustle is an open door to leveling up your sports podcasting experience. Acceptance into the program is limited, so get your application in today. To apply, go to bwhustle.com/join. Check out the description box for this episode to find out more, but that's bwhustle.com/join. Okay, I'm Andrew Damelin. This is the interview, and today is an extra special one. Nik Stauskas of the Raptors 905 via Mississauga, Ontario. We started our interview by going back to his college days at Michigan, where Stauskas exuded a rare confidence about him, or what many called swagger. I asked Nik where that swagger came from.
When I was a kid, just playing basketball growing up in Toronto, I don't know, I was super passionate about the game, and obviously still am passionate about the game, and that swagger, or whatever you want to call it, kind of just came out with, me playing the game that I loved, and whether that was throwing up the three symbol after making a shot, or kind of mean mugging someone after I dunk on them, that was just, natural emotions kind of coming out while I played the game that I loved. So I don't think there was any time specifically that it started, but obviously once I got to Michigan and started playing on TV, I think people started picking up on it more, and also for me, as I started playing in bigger venues and with bigger crowds and a lot more kind of stuff on the line, those emotions kind of played out even more. So I think more than anything, that's just me enjoying myself and having fun, which is what it's all about.
So in that vein, I wanted to play a little Nik Stauskas trivia, which is, I'm going to give you a date, and I want to see if you recognize what happened on that date. This is during your college career. Okay. The first date is February 23rd, 2014.
I actually know this. I think we beat Michigan State at home.
Correct.
Yeah, we beat Michigan State at home.
Okay, so that is what happened in terms of the outcome of the game. But I was listening to a podcast you did with Stu Douglas, and he framed it this way. He said, this is around the time when you became the J.J. Redick of the Big Ten, which is the white guy that pisses everybody in the crowd off, on the road crowd off. Yeah. Can you describe to our listeners what you did after the final buzzer sounded in the Breslin Center?
So that game, I believe, I don't know. I think the February 23rd game, that may have been a home game, or was it at Breslin? I don't know. But the one at Breslin Center, I know what you're talking about. It was college game day, Saturday night. Obviously, a lot on the line. Huge rivalry game between us and Michigan State. And after the game, we snuck out with the win, and I blew kisses to the crowd as we kind of ran off the court.
Yeah.
And it kind of ended up going viral, and there's some memes and stuff like that came about it. But again, that's just honestly, it was just me having fun. That's where it all stemmed from.
Yeah, and I was talking to Brendan Quinn, who covered you during that period, and he said you better go pro after the season because you'll otherwise the Michigan State faithful will murder you the next time they go into the building. And on a similar note, another date I had for you, and by the way, I hope I got the date right in terms of the road game at Michigan State, but that was obviously the game I was looking for. But in this one, I'm pretty sure I'm correct. March 4th, 2014.
March 4th, 2014. That was probably Big Ten tournament, I'm guessing. And we played, I'm going to say, was that when we beat Ohio State in the semifinals or when we played Michigan State in the finals? One of those two.
Well, again, I hope I read the dates correctly, but I thought it was the game in Illinois. At the State Farm Center.
Oh yeah, that could be. I was just thinking more like March, like tournament time.
Right.
So I was thinking, but I know, at Illinois that was to close out the kind of the Big Ten season. I think we clinched the Big Ten that with that game right there.
That's right. And there's one sequence that, I mean, first of all, in the first half, you're making just ridiculous shots all over the place, and then with about 20 seconds left, Illinois has like 4 fouls to give. So you guys continue to inbound it. They continue to foul you. It's this incredibly long, drawn-out sequence at the end of the half, and it leads to you inbounding the ball in front of the student section right at half court. Can you take the story from there?
Yeah. So I remember I was on the sideline inbounding the ball. The Orange Crush obviously was pretty loud that game, and as I was inbounding the ball, and they weren't the first. Fan base to do it, but people love chanting USA at me because I'm Canadian. So as I was inbounding the ball, they're chanting USA, USA. And I remember I inbounded to Derek Walton and ran up the floor. There was maybe a couple of seconds left. And when I passed to Derek, he kind of hit me back after 1 or 2 dribbles for kind of like a step in 35 footer. And I knocked it down at the halftime buzzer, and the USA chants, they kind of vanished. And I remember I just hit it, and as the ball was going in, I kind of already started like turning back around to look at the Orange Crush, and the ball went in, and they were just quiet, and I stared at them for a couple of seconds before I ran back to the locker room. That was definitely a fun moment.
Yeah, no, that was, you seem to enjoy the silencers in the road crowds, and that certainly, you could hear the echo throughout the building there. So, that was part of your time at Michigan. Obviously, you had a lot of success there as a team, too. You made the national title game in your freshman season, came a couple shots away from the Final Four in your sophomore season, and then you go pro. You selected 8th overall. You go to Sacramento, Philly, Brooklyn, and there's the last date I have for you. I'm sure you'll recognize it, that I was wondering if you would let us know. October 18th, 2018.
That would probably have been my first game with Portland against the Lakers, opening night, TNT.
That's right, yeah. And you made a 3 late that you're jumping into guys' arms. Do you remember, obviously at that point you had bounced around, but do you remember at that point feeling like, man, I really do belong in this league?
Yeah, no, I actually remember getting interviewed about it at the start of that season, and having a bumpy couple years to start my career in the NBA, and people ask me that same question, do you feel like you belong now? Do you feel like this, you kind of solidified yourself? And I remember saying yes. I remember feeling lots of doubt throughout my first couple of years in the league, but after those first, the first month or two with Portland, I started getting myself into a rhythm, was playing on a winning team, and had kind of like a solidified role, which I think helped me. And just mentally, I was in a good place. I finally started feeling like, I was playing for a good team. I was playing meaningful minutes, and felt like things were starting to come together for me. And then kind of in that same year, I got traded to Cleveland, and kind of felt like I just, kind of hit rock bottom when that happened. But, it's all part of the business.
Yeah, it's all, so much of this is situational for so many guys, where they're drafted and if they get traded. And obviously you're referencing after the 2019 season, you're out of the league. You go to Spain, and now you're back with the 905. And you had a really, really interesting quote in your first media availability. You were asked something related to this, and you said, "I think just being a lottery pick and having everything happen, just having success at a young age, and then kind of just getting used to that, kind of expecting that, and just expecting things to work out all the time." Now, it's obviously a very humble thing to say, but I read an article that Jeff Seidel wrote in the Detroit Free Press in 2013. He said, after your freshman season, you wrote down every freshman that was named on the all-freshman team, and every person that was named as Big Ten Player of the Year candidate. You wrote those names all down. You remembered them, and you became so obsessed that you actually sought the help of a counselor to sort of get your head right and transition into being a more team-oriented type of guy. Lo and behold, the next season you're the Big Ten Player of the Year. Now, I have this whole preamble, and the question that it leads me to is, has anyone ever told you that you're too hard on yourself?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people, honestly, it's probably the reason why I got myself out of the league to begin with. Was I had such a hard time dealing with like all the failures that came with my first couple years in the league, and not just for me personally. Like, I struggle with the losing aspect of it too. Like, kind of going off that quote you said. Like, I was so used to, especially at Michigan, like I was so used to, having personal success, team success, playing for championships, playing meaningful games all the time. And then I got drafted and then went from Sacramento, which was, obviously not the greatest situation, and then got traded to Philadelphia. And then my first year in Philly, we were 10-72. And like, I was kind of a part of the whole process and rebuild that was going on there. And more than anything, it was so, like, mentally, it was so hard for me to deal with, like, the constant losing. And not only that, but it just felt like even when I personally was playing well, it just doesn't feel good. If you play well, but your team loses by 25 every night, like, you can't really celebrate that, Like, you're sitting there after the game, like, damn, like, you can't even celebrate the small victories, even when you feel like you're doing what you need to do personally. So definitely I was really hard on myself, and I always expect a lot of myself, but that mindset has also led me sometimes to lose confidence in myself, or get dejected, or even sometimes feeling sorry for myself, which has been toxic, like super, super toxic. But kind of like I said in that media session, I elaborated, like, I just think it kind of overall it's helped me grow and like helped me get to the point where I am now, because I never had to deal with failure to that extent until I got to the NBA. And most people don't. Throughout high school and throughout college, like, all the guys that are in the NBA are the guys who are McDonald's All-Americans and playing in the tournament and, like, playing for state championships in high school. So they're not used to having any sort of failures because they're always succeeding. And I guess a lot of the NBA, a lot of how you handle it is based on how you deal with those failures and how you bounce back, and that's where I definitely had room for improvement.
No, listen, Nick, first of all, I really appreciate your candor. Second of all, I appreciate your time, and I know we're a little bit over my allotment. So my plan was actually to ask you about this and then get into how positive things have been with the 905.
We can keep talking. You don't have to cut it short. Trust me. I got a couple more minutes.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's awesome then. So you come back from Spain. You have a knee injury in February, but you're playing your first competitive basketball with the 905 now. And a couple up and down games, obviously, but it seems like you have found your rhythm from 3-point range, especially in the last game. How does it feel right now playing in the 905 system, playing with, and especially specifically playing for Coach Mutombo? What's the impression he's made on you so far?
He's definitely very energetic, very fiery personality. But the thing I love most about him is his competitive spirit and him truly wanting to help us all get to the next level. And that's kind of what he preaches to us all the time. Like everything that he asks of us, everything that he's pushing us toward, he's really trying to get us to where we want to go. All of us who are here in the G League, he said this to us in our first meeting. He said none of us grew up saying, hey, I want to play in the G League. We all grew up saying, I want to play in the NBA. So he goes, I realize that none of you want this to be your end goal. And he was saying just how his whole motivation, everything he asked of us is to try to help us achieve our goals. So when you hear your coach say that, I think it's just easy to buy in and trust everything he's asking of us, because we know it. And at the end of the day, he's just trying to help us. He's here to help us achieve our dreams and get to the next level. And I love our coaching staff. Between the film breakdowns, the training camps, the practices that we've had, I feel like the whole team has, just in general, we've gotten a lot better. We're continuing to learn. And we still got 7 games here left. So, still some more room for improvement, and hopefully we can be competing for a championship at the end of this.
Yeah, and you guys are 5-3. Just came off a thrilling win that would have been so heartbreaking if you guys had lost. But Henry Ellenson ends up making the game-winning shot, and as an afterthought, you made what I wrote as the dagger 3 about 30 seconds before that went to go up by 5. As a last question for you, how are you feeling? How's that shot feeling, and how in general, how are you feeling about your game at this stage?
Yeah, like I'm still finding my rhythm, and I haven't played competitively in a full year. So although I would have loved to see my jumper go down with a little more consistency to start, it kind of wasn't shocking that I've had some up and down games. So the main thing for me was just trying not to like we talked about before, get too frustrated or think about it too much. I know I'm a good shooter, and I've put in the work. So the main thing for me was just to continue trusting that and continue playing the right way, and understanding that if I did those things, that eventually things would turn around. So I feel like I'm working myself into a pretty good rhythm, but I still feel like there's a lot of room for improvement for my game. But more than anything, it's been great to just play basketball again. It's been a full year for me since I've been out there competitively. So just finding that joy in playing again and getting myself back out there has been it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you use the word joy, because in this situation, in a 15-game bubble in 25 days with everybody watching, it seems like a stressful situation, which I'm sure it is, but it's nice to hear that you also are finding joy in it. Listen, Nik, we really appreciate you taking some extra time with us. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season, and we will all be watching you on your chase back to the NBA.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good talking to you.
All right. Bye, Nik.
Bye.